Hi everyone, welcome back to MovieTube. I'm Jade and I'm here with Jordan.
Hello.
And the two of us are going to give you our rundown and thoughts of the entire season of Halo the TV series on Paramount Plus. And just give you our rundown, our thoughts as they sporadically come out. You can also watch along our thoughts after each and every episode that's on our channel. But this is going to be just a discussion of the season as a whole. So if you're excited, please make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell, and be sure to comment down below what you thought of the season in general. So let's get into it.
Yes. So I guess we should probably preface. Did you say that we have reviewed every episode?
Yes.
Okay. Well then, you're good to go. You nailed it.
So yeah, let's get into our thoughts on, I guess, how the season did overall, how much we enjoyed it.
Okay, you first.
I have mixed feelings about it, where I would definitely recommend it for people who are just into a sci-fi political show in general. And for Halo fans, I would recommend certain episodes. But not necessarily the whole season.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
What about you?
I'm similar. I'm very mixed on the show. Overall, I think a lot of people are going to be very either like it or really, really dislike it. But I'm not really that strong either way. I am quite strong on certain aspects of the show. But overall, I thought it was fine. I think some stuff was good and then some stuff was a big miss.
Yeah.
I think the direction of some of the choices were interesting, if did not panning out very well, and just like especially a lot of the characters that they introduced and new characters.
Yeah.
And but overall,
known if
I don't think
from books or something.
Yeah, but overall, from the little that I've seen of people's reaction, I kind of try to stay a little bit away from that. I don't think it's nearly as bad as some other people might have feeling, but that's me personally. But I also don't think it's great either.
Yeah.
You know?
That's very fair. Like, I definitely don't think it's as, like, disgustingly spitting in the face of the entire Halo franchise as some may feel. And I feel that they had really cool moments and some really good moments, but I wouldn't say they had, like, incredibly high highs either.
Yeah. I think some episodes, like, I think particularly, I've got a couple things written down here to remember that I felt strong, but I think episode 5, 6, and the finale were particularly, like, what I wish the show was at a constant.
Yes.
And people may jump to that immediately and be like, oh, like, well, those two of those are, like, the big action-heavy episodes. And, of course, that's a big part of what I like about Halo. But I also think 6 is a perfect example of what I also like about Halo, which is, it may seem on a first glance like just a first-person shooter, but I think it has a lot of other elements. One, it has a really, really deep lore behind it with a lot of these factions, religion, and a lot of this sort of things, and political turmoil, which they do try to touch on a lot of the episodes that I think is hit or miss. But I think one of the, personally for me, is I love that a lot of the characters sort of float in the grey area.
Yeah.
And I think episode 6 is a shining example of why I find that interesting, and the dynamic that they play around with between John, Halsey, Miranda, and Jacob really shines through. And I think that the less that they make it black and white and they float in the grey is where I find characters very interesting. And Halo's always been interesting when it deals with that, especially Catherine Halsey is an interesting character because of that. And even John's upbringing is, it's a very complicated situation. And I like that they never really have clear-cut answers in the games or even in the lore or extended media that you may jump into. I'm not 100% sure on books. Me and you haven't dove into the books, so people may give us examples of things that maybe contradict or validate what I'm saying. But that's what I find interesting. So episode 6 was a good example of that, and I think that was a really, really well done one, especially with a lot of Cortana as well shining through those moments, which she was a really good linchpin and anchor that made me feel very much like it was Halo in a lot of the moments when I didn't feel like it was.
That's a great point. Yeah.
And then also, obviously seeing the Covenant and the action is a big part of Halo too. And I feel like those moments where they did dive into that, really worked well. And he had his
course.
helmet on and he was doing his thing. But a lot of the stuff from even episode 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I think as like 7 and 8 were very hit or miss for me. Like I think don't want to beat on any of the actresses or actors out here because they're all working and doing their best with the material and with the show. But I didn't like Kwan's story, quite honestly. I thought it was weak and disjointed. Like I don't really know what they were getting at. And I talked to you. I think I mentioned in the finale episode that I felt like they introduced these two new characters, new to Halo, which is Kwan and McKee. I believe so. Maybe they're in the books, but I don't know all these characters.
Disclaimer. We don't know.
But I feel like they were very uncommittal with what their roles would really be.
Absolutely.
They gave them important roles, but also left them both off in like they could come back, they could not. How do you guys feel? And I feel like that was just like, I didn't like McKee. I didn't really have too much feelings either way. Kwan, I was like, I could leave this storyline, but that didn't land with me. And then a lot of the sort of new directions they took with John and Kai and a lot of these elements, and John with McKee specifically. I feel like they added a complication, resolved the complications way too quickly.
Yes.
And I
don't with McKee.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of that landed. So, but yeah, it's. I guess we haven't really. Oh my god. My laptop just like it wasn't me. It was just it looks like I fell. But yeah, we haven't really spoken before jumping on here, so I guess a lot of my thoughts are just floating up, and I don't know how coherent they're all going to come out. But
no, go
because there is a lot of mixed feelings about the show in general. But if I had to kind of give a quick overall census before I chuck it to you and let you kind of go off for a bit, I think it was fine. I think Pablo Schreier did a good job as John 117. I didn't like some of the choices they made, and nor do I necessarily agree with them. But hey, this is the show they want to tell, so I'm going to judge it on what they're giving me and try not to be too in my own sense about it. But even with what they were trying, I don't know if they landed everything they wanted to. I would give it a 6 out of 10.
Okay, that's fair.
That's where I'm with it. Like, I don't think it was bad. I don't particularly think it was good. I think it was just fine.
I totally understand that and respect that. Yeah. So shall I go on to my thoughts?
Go for it.
So yeah, no, I definitely agree with you. And for me, like obviously some of my favorite moments as well were very action based, but like you said, it's not exclusive to that. Some of my favorite moments were in that episode where they were in John's old house with Halsey, and just seeing this dynamic between them is some of my favorite aspects of the games and of this show, because like you said, she is such a great character where like you can completely see her motives and understand why, but you wouldn't necessarily like do it yourself. And you like the gray area, it's just a perfect way to describe it. And those are some of my favorite characters, like Arbiter and her, like who you know they've done egregious things, but you can't help but be like, I kind of respect you. And yeah, so it's not just the action that was some of my best moments. It was also definitely the heart of some of these characters. And Cortana, I think she was better than I even expected. She, like you said, was such a bringing it back to the game moment, whether it be her quips, her attitude, her smiling little face like, yes, chief? Like, it's just so cute and so right, and it just brings you right back to the feeling of the game. But then there was so many moments that weren't, not just like the game, but weren't even fitting in its own story. Like, I truly feel like Soren and Kwan, it's not that I disliked their story, it's more just that I feel it has absolutely zero place in this season. And I feel like all those episodes or moments, like I know, like you could say, oh, it's the reason Chief kind of defied everything, but you could write that out and make it a different reason why he defied things. It doesn't have to be from her. It could be a baby, who knows? Like, I just found her story could be lifted out and the entire season be like only 6 episodes, and then it'd be better than it is right now.
Can I interject?
Yes, please.
I think that what you're saying is completely 100% agree with, but instead of taking it out and having 6 episodes, I think much like John himself throughout a lot of this season, the show is a bit emotionally messy, and you could take out Soren and Quan after the episode 1, as you said, she could still be this anchor or the reason that John feels that way, but you could spend a lot of that time developing Silver Team, which when the finale, when we get there, their interactions and their quipping and stuff was like
nice,
getting in even the penultimate episode in episode 8 when there's the moment of them fighting and Spartan versus Spartan action, which is pretty cool and pretty well choreographed for the most part. There's not really a ton of emotional weight behind Kai and what's happening there for me personally, because we could have spent more time developing those aspects, and even Jacob and Miranda, instead of focusing on Quan, Soren, and some of what we see with McKee, who is like Cobra Kai in it. She's good, bad, good, bad, good, bad, you know?
Yes, I completely agree there. Like, yeah, if you're going to make it 9 episodes, no matter what, let it be fleshed out on these characters that are, like, you know, important and maybe didn't get the time to shine. Like you said, like Miranda, like Jacob, like Riz, like Vanek, like Kai. I would love to see more of all of them and have them develop and feel like, I don't know, characters I know better. Like, you know, we know Jacob and Miranda from the games, but we don't know them as well in this universe, and we don't know Kai and Vanek and Riz from a bar of soap sometimes. So it's definitely something that could have been dived into more. I totally agree.
Like even without action, you know, seeing them on like a recon mission, even as we talked about in the finale, they had this sequence where the ship was going through like this portal to find the Covenant, one of the Covenant planets, and even those moments of tension that aren't involve shooting is good for character building and getting to know these characters and seeing the way that in which they interact together. And I think that is intriguing and kind of bonds you a bit more to those characters, and more of that and less of some of the other stuff that they threw in there. And it feels like it kind of had an identity crisis at times. Like it didn't really know which way it wanted to go at times. Like we can go from an episode that is quite strong and good to an episode that feels so aimless and it doesn't even it doesn't, to me, and as I said, this is all personal to people, maybe some people liked it, but to me a lot of, like, even with the Quan centric episode or some of the earlier episodes like 2 and stuff, not only feel divorced from what I feel like Halo is, feel completely divorced from what the show wants to be at times.
Yes. Exactly. Like, I know it has some ties to the books, but even to the own show, you're right. It just doesn't fit really.
Well, like, they don't,
the rest.
As I said, like with Quan, Soren, and even a lot of McKee's, sure, McKee was used as a MacGuffin of types to serve purpose, but a lot of the other aspects feel like they don't even feed the core narrative of what the show is. Like, it's like, they're not even really like, you know, you can utilize characters in multiple different ways, and I feel like a lot of it was like, I don't know, there was so many better options, or what I felt like were better options to spend time with.
You're on the money, because like there's a million better uses of time I find for this show and the characters than that random like dinner party that Soren was at with all these, like, I guess rich looking people just in these weird modern futuristic clothes that don't really, I guess, represent the everyday person in the 2500s. So it's like, I don't really know what that serves.
But there's also a lot of positives that I can speak about, and I think we should acknowledge, because, you know, some people might just immediately jump to it and talk and complain about the differences. And look, if they feel that way, they feel that way. They have every right to. But like Pablo Schreier, and I'm not 100% sure that the actress that plays Halsey and stuff are really good in these roles.
She's awesome. Yeah.
I feel like someone wrote in the comments and I forgot, but I apologize.
So
she
sorry.
was really fantastic as Halsey. Like, I don't love every choice they made with her character towards the end. I liked her mid-season, floating in the mid-season and stuff. I thought she was quite engaging, and I wish we kept her there longer than we did. They used her to serve as plot towards the end, and I understand, but I liked the mid-season Halsey more.
Agreed.
But she was a great actress. I think Pablo Schreier did a really good job. I liked Kai towards the end of the show quite a bit.
The end,
And some of the camera work is really well done and looks really high quality and is quite creative for the most part, especially in some of the sequences. Like, as you said, when John goes home and he's recreating the home.
Yeah,
I like a lot.
That was epic.
And when they're losing gravity or like the electricity or power in the ship, when they're making their way to the Covenant homeworld, or not homeworld, but the Covenant planet.
Yeah.
Like, I liked that stuff a lot.
Yeah.
And the action was shot engagingly, as said, you know, with episode 1 and finale, there was some CG woes and it didn't always look fantastic. But as I said, TV budget, that's something that I kind of, you get over.
Yeah.
And you can still...
Because it's not just this one TV show. It's so many different TV shows because of the limits. Yeah.
The visuals aren't everything, you know. You know, you love so many other movies and shows that don't have great visuals, but the CG didn't always hold up, but they were shot engagingly and had engaging moments throughout the action. But yeah, there is a lot of good here. The suit of Master Chief looks fantastic. They had a lot of the iconic sounds and guns and things.
And Katana herself was
Katana was, I agree with you, fantastic. There's a lot to like here.
Exactly.
I just feel like it needed more purpose in its story and what characters it wants to or should focus on.
Yeah, no, and I think you're absolutely right. I think they should have committed more, whether it be about the characters, you know, instead of putting some episodes into subplots that don't really go anywhere, like with Quan and Soren. They should have just committed to what they had, because some of their strong suits were really strong, but they just didn't commit to it, so it felt like undeserving of, I don't know, like it just didn't go anywhere. The resolution didn't really feel as hype.
Instead of following Quan, we could have followed the Legolo. We seen the Legolo, and then we seen the
leg.
Yeah, and then we seen the Hunter leg, and it never came back to it.
I could have sworn they would have.
When the finale was popping off, I was like, oh, you wait till he pops up.
When they said the rumbling, I was like, oh my god, the hunters. And then they were like, no, just a bunch of elites. And I was like, oh, okay.
We got to see, like, I know they're the same entity, of course, but someone's like, you see the hunters? I always seen the Legolo.
Yeah,
like,
Legolo.
Like, you know what I mean?
Of the Legolo.
Yeah, we kind of see, like, we did see them, but not the hunter form.
Yeah, true.
You know?
You're right. Just loose.
But yeah, I don't, like I said, I don't hate the show at all. I feel much like, I honestly feel like it's funny because a lot of people may be like, oh, like this is terrible, this is not Halo. I feel weird to say, but I feel like this is one of the better video game adaptations, but it's also one of the worst ones, if that makes sense. Because
the potential.
Not necessarily the potential. For me, it's more like the directing, the acting, and a lot of the stuff in the show is really well done. But I feel like a lot of the stuff maybe from the games or what they're following just doesn't really land. And so it's like, yeah, it's like in that sort of like this weird sort of middle ground where it's like it's kind of a well done show. It's like if this was just not Halo, just a sci-fi show, I think it's solid if a little unfocused in a lot of areas.
Yeah, and that's why, like I was saying, I could recommend this to someone who's just looking for a sci-fi political action show. But for true like Halo fans, obviously watch the whole thing if you dang well want. But I would say, yeah, definitely some episodes you should like watch just for the like whoa moments, but wouldn't bother with some of the others.
Yeah, and it's like, it's funny because like I would love to see like a Halo universe build out and get a spin-off of like even ODST and all these.
Been praying for this.
Yeah, like I would love, like I think there's so much potential there, but it's funny with this show, like they wanted to go personal with John, but a lot of that did work, but then it was like they just added all this another unnecessary, unneeded stuff that just did not need to be there.
Takes away from it, yeah.
But at the same time, I would like to see a season 2, and to see them really sort of focus in on Cortana, John, Silver Team, and the fractured relationship with Halsey, and continue to like the fractured relationship not only with Halsey and John, but now with Jacob and John.
Yes,
and
Miranda and John. Miranda and John. Miranda and Halsey.
Yes, and like
Miranda and John didn't really have a relationship. Sorry.
For some reason, John's he's hyper pissed at her. But build on those complications, and John, the Covenant in season 2 now being a big threat. Spoilers, I guess, but like eventually Reach is gonna get glassed. But the Covenant becomes a bigger threat, forcing John to put his personal problems aside and have to fight, and Silver Team and him, and really opening up the grey areas with those characters and complications, while also having a very, not necessarily always action heavy, but tension heavy, forward momentum style plot, and world building first would be cool.
I totally agree.
But overall, I don't dislike season 1. And if people do, I totally get that. Like, let us know in the comments how you feel. Like, I totally respect that. I want to hear other people's opinions, because I see when you're on like Twitter, or you're making episode by episode things, you're getting like instantaneous reactions, right?
Yeah.
So you're always getting like super high on it or super low.
Yes.
You're getting the immediate like hyperbolic sort of like feelings.
Because no one's gonna tweet that was fine. Like
so I'd love to hear
get a reaction.
Yeah, like I'd love to hear people in the comments like just talk about things that they like, things that they didn't, and give us like an honest like census on how they feel. Because me and you were kind of both new to Halo. We played through every one of the games. That was one of the things that you did on our gaming channel. You played through them all for the first time.
Every second of it.
and we dived into a lot of the lore with Hidden Xperia, who's
our boy.
He does great content, but like we don't know a lot of the books, and I'm not a long-term Halo fan, neither are you. So I'd love to see what because as I said, like, as someone that like I love Zelda or Metroid, Resident Evil, I'll take anything. You know what I mean? I'll watch that Resident Evil Netflix show that's gonna be awful.
That's gotta be awful.
Just to see a liquor. You know what I mean? Like, just give me a lick. Just a lick.
Just a lick of a liquor.
But so it's like I'd love to hear what like more lifetime Halo fans feel about the show, but like maybe like, and see how they generally feel about it. Like, but
absolutely.
Like someone's like just 0 out of 10. It's poop. It's poop. Master Chief took a big master poo.
Master poo.
He did hump in the show though. That's one thing we didn't cover. He did hump.
Yeah, he humped.
Man, I'll tell you right now, a whole lot more seeing cheeks in the show than I expected.
Yeah, we saw like 5 different people's cheeks.
Damn, he had his cheeks out more than he had the helmet on.
Oh boy.
He was out there in the finale. Did you notice when he was friggin' fighting the Covenant? Cortana took over and he rose back up. He's fighting and he spins and he had the whole armor set besides the cheeks on.
Just the plates that cover the butt. Just.
But yeah, I'm sure we missed a ton of things that like It was 9 episodes. It was for like nearly 9 hours worth of content. It's a lot of content.
Yeah. No, there was some hefty watching hours, but yeah, I really hope you all enjoyed going on this journey with us. And please let us know.
You didn't give it a number.
Oh, yeah, I'd give it. I'm thinking 6.5.
Okay, yeah, that's pretty high.
Yeah. I'm like, I was tossing between 6 and 6.5, like somewhere, any of the decimal points between 0 and 5.
Yeah, I'd stick with a 6. I feel like 5.9, there's too much good acting, visuals, sound design. Like, there's too much good. So, and I don't think the story was that bad. I don't think it was bad. I think there was some bad motivations and poor choices. But yeah, I'd say 6 and you'd say 6.5.
Exactly. So,
I think that's fair. That's fair.
That's not god awful. That's definitely watchable. Like
you're more in the Halo community. How are they feeling about it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know. I haven't checked much on Twitter because, like you said, I've wanted to remain kind of separate with our thoughts because we're doing a review. Usually, if I was just watching it for my own fun without ever giving my thoughts, I would totally scour what other people are thinking. But I've tried to hold off on that. But I think people either have been really hardcore defending it and being like, no, I love what they're doing, I love what they're going for, or have been like really hardcore hating it. And fair enough. Each to their own.
Who are we to say? I, as you said, we don't. One of the negatives of not jumping on and getting everyone's opinion is in the finale. We talked about it in the finale review. I did not know that man was Atriox.
I know. I feel like
is he? So he is Atriox?
It said in the subtitles. So
like, yeah, I was watching because Kai. I already mentioned this in the finale review, but I'll reiterate it. Kai is speaking.
Yeah.
And I couldn't hear at the start because she was like under the rubble and he got glassed, and I couldn't hear any, so I put the subtitles on, and then later it was like the Atriox like breathed and he was like scoffed, and it was like Atriox. I was like, "Who's Atriox?" And then I guess he did give him the scar.
Yeah, so it's
I did not. So look, who are we to know?
Yeah, clearly,
who are we to judge?
If that kind of stuff goes over our heads, then we're not the ones to listen to.
Cortana, take over me.
Yeah. So blame Cortana, not us. Bye. No, but yeah, I really hope you guys enjoyed, and please make sure to let us know your thoughts. But and don't be harsh on anyone else's thoughts in the comments, because we've all got different opinions, and that's totally fine. It's just a Halo TV show, and thankfully we all have the games still there, no matter what, free on Xbox. I was about to say Xbox Plus, but it's Xbox Game Pass.
Damn, you were ahead in the future.
So yeah, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe, and we shall see you in the next one. Say bye, Jordan.
Bye.